Hi everyone, welcome to Protective Diet Education. Tonight's lesson is number 155 and we're covering cancer on a protective diet. And I want to review what's been going on with me. It's been almost 9 months since I was diagnosed with brain cancer, with a tumor in my brain. And a lot of questions have come up because I haven't really been sharing what's been happening in the last 9 months. The last time I shared with you guys was when I had my brain biopsy in March, and now we're at that in December. So I just want to go over what's happening because we have some new progress that's coming up, and I wanted to also talk about eating, to the action steps we can take on a daily basis to eat to prevent cancer growth, the spread of cancer, to reduce the fear of development of cancer before you're at a crossroads, before you're faced with a cancer diagnosis. I'm not saying everyone will be, but it's number 2 killer of humans. So it's either heart disease or cancer. But if we're eating a protective diet, we shouldn't be having to be challenged with either of these two. The cancer that I was diagnosed with has been with me for a long time. I haven't been eating a protective diet my whole entire life, but I have been I've been at it full time for over 6 years now, and vegan for going on 13.
I think that's
13.
Yeah.
The end of this month. So I went vegan 13 years ago, right after Christmas, before New Year's, and never looked back. Never deviated from my vegan program. And my lifestyle, and then I adopted a protective diet and went oil-free and nut-free, got all the additives out of my diet, and that's been 6 years. Now, what was with me before that, we have to sometimes face. It sometimes creeps in, like my experience where I had these severe headaches that basically I mentioned to Jerry the night before we went to the hospital, I feel like I have a tumor in my brain. I want you to drill a hole in there to relieve the pressure. And we were laughing about it, thinking it was like an out of control sinus infection, which also didn't fit because I'm a healthy person. I just had this terrible pressure in my head. So after discovering this and having the biopsy, I decided to wait 3 months and get another MRI in that 3-month period and do kind of the watch and wait procedure. During that time, I was told to see an oncologist, where he told me he would immediately have the tumor removed and treat with chemotherapy and radiation. And it scared me. I left the office very filled with fear, and I think a lot of times not having the support of going against the grain and not following normal protocol of being with a cancer diagnosis comes a lot of fear, a lot of insecurities. Even though I know the science behind what I'm doing and what I'm practicing, I still have this big tumor in my head that on a daily basis I can feel, and that is just wearing on me. So it was a hard time. I had Jerry to support me, and a couple friends that really understood what I was going through and really understood my lifestyle and how I really didn't need to come home and make a change to the way that I was eating, although I did incorporate some different practices, which I'll talk about. But so after seeing the oncologist and knowing that chemotherapy and radiation wasn't for me, I was experiencing some symptoms of pain, and that brought us to the point where Jerry and I decided together that I should get this taken out of my head. When I was diagnosed with it and we saw the first MRI, it had this encapsulation around the tumor. And it has, are you showing them the photo already?
Sure.
Okay.
I will now.
Okay, hold on. So it had this encapsulation around the tumor, and the surgeon said it was odd. He had never seen anything like it before. It was almost like the tumor was its own little thing. Normally it's grown into the brain, or it can be in different spots in the brain, or it can be just boarded up really tight with your brain cells so that when they go to remove it, it can be, it can cause disabilities and brain damage, basically. So this was an odd looking tumor, so we wanted to biopsy it, and we found out what type of cancer it was, and that it was slow enough growing that we could wait the 3 months to get another MRI. So this picture is my MRI after 3 months, which is now, that was in June. So this is, we're now 7 months post this MRI, which I don't have yet. I'll be getting another MRI done soon. But if you want to show them that photo, is it up?
Yeah.
So if you look at that photo, you can see that cross that's there. That's them measuring the area of the tumor, and you can see the tumors in the center of that, and you can see this like regressed space, or what the surgeon called an encapsulation, which he had never seen before. Had that heavy border dividing the tumor and my brain. Now around the tumor is like white tissue, that's inflammation. It's where the brain is responding to this odd thing that's in my head. Now this encapsulation, or what I've seen typical from doing research, is regression, where the body is, where the cells are regressing. There's no root hairs or veins growing into the brain. There's no blood
What are those
supply.
called again?
That is called angiogenesis, when the tumor grows veins or blood vessels to feed the tumor. The tumor will not survive without those blood vessels. And you can see there's like a clearance area. It's not growing in, it's not netting into the brain. So that's a good thing for removal. It's a good thing for regression. So this past almost 9 months, I've been doing practices to really focus on regressing the cancer, and I haven't had another MRI to see where it's at, but my symptoms have been severe enough that I've decided to have the tumor removed. I'm going to be having that done on December 16th. It's taken this long to get to this point because of insurance. I hate to say it, but I probably would have had this tumor removed several months ago if I could have gotten approval through insurance. The surgeon wanted to do it right away. The oncologist said if I was his sister, it would be done that weekend. But with the insurance plan I had, it takes forever to get anything done. I had a challenge finding doctors just to get established with here in San Diego. So that was a holdup. But my symptoms outweighed my will to be able to hold out and just completely regress this tumor. I have mixed emotions about it. Like, should I just stay and wait? Because this surgery, it's called a craniotomy. It's pretty serious.
It is brain surgery.
If you want to see a link to the surgery, I posted one in Protective Diet Living underneath my MRI picture. It's a link if you really want to see what goes on during the surgery. They show it opening the skull and then getting to the brain. They don't show removal of the tumor, but they show closing of the brain. So you see how everything goes back together again. But my symptoms were headaches. Every morning I wake up, I feel like I was at a party. And yes.
In the chat right now, they're saying, I feel good about your decision. That was Lisa.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people feel good that I'm getting this out of my head. It makes Jerry and I feel good now that I've come to the conclusion that I can with my insurance. For a long time, there was a holdup on that. So it wasn't really an option. My option was to go at this alone, and I kept thinking, well, maybe this is a sign. This is a sign because I always try to follow what feels right. This is a sign that I'm supposed to allow this regression to happen and not get the surgery, because there was such setbacks in my medical care, like setbacks like I had never heard of. I was just put off and put off and put off. Now, fortunately, I didn't need any medication post-biopsy, the first brain surgery. I didn't need any treatment. I was doing just fine. I'm a healthy girl, so I didn't need medical care. But I did need to get the surgery done because of my symptoms. So this hungover feeling of these headaches, I just feel like I have tons of pressure. And I found out finally from one doctor that finally told me why. Just this last month, I got a new doctor because my regular doctor that I had just met left town.
The first one didn't speak English.
The first one didn't speak any English at all, and they wanted cash up front, which I thought was really weird because I had insurance. And then the second one was on the border of Mexico at a clinic for uninsured, even though I have insurance, but I couldn't find a doctor in the San Diego area that took my insurance, that was accepting new patients, that would see me within 3 months period. So here I'm supposed to have brain surgery to get this tumor removed, but I couldn't get a doctor to give me the referral to see the neurosurgeon to get the brain surgery for 3 months. So I went to this clinic, and I think that might have been where I went a little wrong, thinking I'd get in with a doctor faster. But then I had to go through all the basics of like getting a healthy woman's exam, a physical exam, and of course everything came back stellar. The doctor was congratulating me and had to see me 3 more times before I got the referral to get the 3-month MRI, that was after the 3-month MRI to see the neurosurgeon. But anyway.
In the chat right now, Kim is saying you are so amazing. She can't even believe what you've done. Man, considering all your creative heights, where is it going to be after?
I know, I can't wait to get this thing out of my head because I'm having vertigo. I have pretty severe fatigue, which might be coming from insurance, my health insurance. I'm telling you, the worst part of
insurance
this,
fatigue.
I have insurance fatigue. But this is typical. These are all typical things of having a brain tumor. I didn't know at first because I didn't research like what to expect. I didn't want to look at my life expectancy when I was first diagnosed. I didn't want to know these things. And sometimes when we think about something, we bring it about. And I didn't want to do that. So I finally got answers to why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Vision changes and hearing changes. They weren't really changes. I've had this for years, and this is one thing that has confirmed that I've had this tumor a really long time, because I can remember back to when I was 15 years old. My boyfriend used to joke around with me, you need to get a couple Q-tips and clean those ears out, girl, because you're always saying, what did you say? Pardon me? Excuse me? Because I couldn't hear anything. And I drive Jerry crazy with this, and it's gotten way worse because I feel like full time, I feel like I just landed from a really high altitude in a plane, and my ears won't pop. That's what it's like pretty much full time. And it's been like that a long time. After a lot of stimulation, I used to get like that, like a long day at work. So I know I've had this a while. But I never paid attention to these things because you just think that's how it is. You get accustomed to them. I have pretty bad concentration problems now, mood swings, depression, anger, rage. These are things that are typical with where the tumor is in my brain. Personality change. Poor Jerry. He's been handling it all, but memory loss, short-term memory loss could be from the biopsy. I'm not sure, but that's when it started pretty bad. So these are all things that are typical when you have a tumor in the right frontal lobe of your brain, or if you have a brain injury in that area. Isn't that the area? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I sit here and I think about, we do the Wonderful Wise practice, and I think about that. That's in lesson number 129. And I think if anyone was going to get this, I'm going to get through this. I have a super strong endothelium. Look at my brain tumor. It looks like the surgeon even said when I open that up, I hope it's going to come out like a pimple. Like it's just going to all come out together. That's their goal, is to get all the cells, because if they leave any behind, usually they grow. Well, I'm eating a diet and living a lifestyle that regresses growth. We look at the tumor, how it looks. That is not how a tumor normally looks. And the surgeon even said that to me. I've never seen this before. And I reminded him, you've never met anyone that eats a protective diet. You've never met anyone like me. So of course you've never seen a tumor like what's in my head. So these are all advantages I have from how I'm eating. And I want to talk about angiogenesis. That is those veins that grow. That's how cancer spreads. That's how, when you see, if you've looked up brain tumors before, probably not, but I have, because I had to compare mine to everybody else's. And the one that I'm showing you is an MRI done without any dye, so it's not very lit up. It's not easy to see the border and that encapsulation when there isn't dye used to light up the MRI so the doctor can really dissect it, because I'm allergic to the dye. Unfortunately, they didn't give me the dye again, which typically they give you a bunch of steroids and then they give you the dye because they want to be able to see. The picture is more important to them than you being on steroids, but I don't want to take those. So I don't take any medication. I haven't taken any medication since I was in the hospital and took pain medicine to manage the biopsy. And I want to keep it that way. So tumor cells can't grow into tumors without hooking up to a blood supply. So angiogenesis inhibitors are in plant-based foods. So if we eat plant-based foods, green tea, beans, whole grains, those kinds of things, your peaty pale ale, your faux beer, these things, your mulled wine. I'm having this. This is such a wonderful beverage. I made this tonight. This is this week's recipe, loaded with antioxidants. So all of these things, these plant-based phytochemicals, can help stop those blood vessels from growing and the tumor.
They're talking about
progressing.
how it's an awesome opportunity to do research, since you're the first one on a protective diet that they've worked with. Do you have anything to say about that?
I wish that they were interested. I have to be honest, my doctors said, Julie, go buy the best wine you can afford. Go shop. Go enjoy yourself. You have cancer. Like, their reality of my diagnosis is not good. It's grim. This is cancer. They don't know what to do about it. We know more proactive ways to handle illness than the doctors do. And this is clear if you look at other diseases. Look at type 2 diabetes. They're treating them with medication. And I get them in my classroom. I get them in my hands. I stock their pantry. And in 30 days, their blood sugars are regulating. And they're with me for 3 to 6 months. And they don't have diabetes anymore. We know more than they do. And that is a very, very scary time when you're in a doctor's office and you're diagnosed with cancer. Because I can tell you all about heart disease. I can tell you all about diabetes. But when that cancer diagnosis comes, it's so scary. There's so many different types. It can be all over your body and different parts of your, two different parts of your system. I have it in my, there's central nervous system. So I'm learning about that it's different than having it in, peripheral. So, okay.
Good job.
So it's disturbing when you find out that your doctor does not have any clue whatsoever about the power of nutrition, about the power of plants. We're in this community where we're exposed to doctors that are plant-based doctors that are unfortunately not in my area, or they're not. I don't have the support of a physician telling me, Julie, keep doing what you're doing. Just keep at it. Obviously, look at your tumor. It looks fantastic. They look at my tumor and they're like, it's weird. That's their response to it. Not, oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to do a study on you. They're not interested. There's no money in that study. What are they going to do? Then refer people over to protective diet? Or are they going to stop promoting chemotherapy and radiation My doctor was promoting it for me, not really even knowing if it was effective because of the type of cancer I have. But that's all they have to give me, so I should take it.
In the chat right now, there's some talk about doctors and stuff like that, and I want to remind everyone that everyone, including especially Julie's neurosurgeon, is doing the absolute best they can with what they have, given the circumstances. Always. That's my default for no matter what happens to me, no matter who does anything to me. I realize everyone is always doing the best they possibly can. Same with doctors and the whole system. They're talking about pharmaceuticals and stuff, and about how there's no money being made by actually recovering and healing from different diseases. It's better to treat and line their pockets than to allow the recovery to take place. And yeah, it's kind of disgusting, but that doesn't mean that the physician
I don't think that's the case at all.
Right, I don't think so either. I'm saying that if that was to happen, that would be a bad situation.
Right.
Everyone is doing absolutely everything they can to help out, and the same with the system. It's a bit different right now, but we'll see if that ever changes.
Yes, so my doctors that I'm working with, I absolutely love my neurosurgeon. He's fantastic, but he is in the medical world. This is what he knows. He knows he's an expert at getting that tumor out of my head, at opening my head, getting it out, closing it, and not having any complications. That's his job. It's not to tell me whether my tumor is fantastic or it's not fantastic. He doesn't even know to tell me what type of cancer my tumor is. That goes out to someone else. So it's a lot of fear that comes from the unknown. A lot of fear that comes from going to these oncology appointments that I had to go to, and be told that this is what they recommend. There was a board of oncologists that specialize in brain cancer.
It was a tumor
board that discussed my tumor and what the best route was for me. And what do they know? They only know people that have taken treatment. They don't know anyone that walks out of the office, like Jerry and I, and says, well, we are going to think about this. And they're like, but if you were my sister, I would have this removed this weekend. Like, the fear on his face had me in tears in the car, because I knew I couldn't do this. I couldn't make these decisions, and I absolutely would not take on chemotherapy or radiation for the type of cancer I have. So that would probably put me into the life expectancy rate that I read about for this cancer, which was not, it wasn't good. It was 5, they gave me 5 years, and none of the doctors would give me that number, but they did say, check out this information online, go to the Brain Cancer Association and read about the type of cancer you're diagnosed with and the treatments that people are taking. And they're all taking the treatments that they suggested, and they're not surviving. So this is where I have realized that I'm going to go my own path with that. But I'm going to have this taken out because of all of these symptoms. But I want to get back to the 3 actions that you can take.
Before we get there, let's talk about the post-surgery suggestions that Dr. Altano had. Because that's a question in the chat room. What are you going to do after the surgery?
Just to answer some questions in case anyone has them. The surgery will take about 2 hours. It's at 2:30 on the 16th of December, so think of me. And I'll be there about
think of me.
4 days. Yeah, think of Jerry. He'll be there. He's probably going to run home quick to let Lucky out and then run back. The hospital is very close to our house. We're lucky for that. And I'll be in the hospital 4 days tops, probably, he said. So I had a friend actually in Chicago that I met through another friend that just had the same exact diagnosis on the opposite side of her brain, and she was in the hospital for 10 days. They didn't even give her an opportunity to have a biopsy and then come back for surgery. They just biopsied and removed. And she's doing pretty good right now. She's
Didn't they remove and then biopsy? Wasn't it like take the whole thing out and then
they
check out, see
opened
what
up
it was?
her head actually from the top, which I thought was really odd. So did my surgeon, but we are not exactly sure where the placement of her tumor is. It's probably a little higher than mine, but on the other side. And she's doing well. She has a little girl and she's married and she's in her 20s, so she's younger than I am. And she has some weakness in her right side that she's working through. And these are the risks of this surgery, is just having some weakness. Her tumor, they probably had to touch more of the brain area to remove it. I'm not sure. I haven't seen her MRIs. But why did I bring her up? See,
We're
this is my
talking-
short-term memory loss stuff.
What are we going to do
I
in
lose
terms of
track.
radiation and chemo after? What did
Oh.
Dr. Altano say about
So,
attacking it hard?
Dr. Altano said, I'm sitting in the neurosurgeon's office. This is just last week. And I said, he looked at me and he goes, "You look fantastic. You look really healthy."
Have you
I'm
been
watching
looking
it.
for problems
I've
on
been
your left
looking
side?
for neurological problems this whole time you've been talking to me, because he expects this side of my body to not be as, I don't know, I'm cooking just fine, believe me.
Coordinated?
Coordinated. So, and it's fine. So he was amazed. And he said, "You know what? Because of your health, because you're so strong and healthy,
We're gonna
attack this very aggressively. We're gonna get that tumor out, and we're gonna treat you aggressively. Because healthy people like you, we can knock you out with those treatments. Really attack any remaining cancer in the brain, and you're gonna survive it. And we want winners. We only like to treat people that are gonna turn out as winners." And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying to me. I was so confused by this, because it was like, wait, because I'm doing so well, because I'm so healthy, you're going to knock me out with chemo and radiation because you know that I will survive the 5 years. That is what they're trying to get you past. So I got to the car with Jerry and I was like, oh my God, I'm a winner. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm so on the opposite fence of what he's explaining. And
winner PD dinner.
yeah, winner PD dinner. So that is what's going on. I wanted to be honest with you, because I know the first video that I did, I made public on YouTube, and it was about what my plans were to regress cancer. I wasn't having the surgery done. I was going to go back in 3 months for another MRI. And a lot of people were under the impression that my doctors were so supportive of my whole food plant-based diet approach. And, they gave me a prescription to get Lucky, my healer. No, that was after a conversation that we had, and they told me to eat full fat ice cream and drink the best wine I could buy and live my life. So I just wanted to let you know what the majority of people are up against. Because I'm in San Diego, California, people think that all doctors know about the endothelium and they know about eating a whole food plant-based diet. And I just wanted to be clear that is not the case. I'm happy to at last have a physician and that is overseeing everything. And I really didn't even care what her experience was, because I am the one that's in charge. I am the boss of this body, and I'm going to investigate anything that anyone suggests to me. And I'm not up for some kind of, what did they want me to, Dr. Owens wanted me to check out the latest, to be part of a study. I'm like, are you kidding me? I am the study. They should be studying me off drugs and going through brain cancer. So that wasn't interesting to them, because there's no way that they can repeat what I'm doing at home on their next patient. I'm not a good, what did he call it?
Case study.
Right, but he called it
I wasn't
something.
there,
You
so-
were in the office with me, and he said that it's, I'll think of the word, when a study's done with multiple variables because of diet, it's not something that can be duplicated. So it's not something that he wants to, that they're interested in. A drug, they can manage it and dose it. But what I'm doing at home with food and my lifestyle is not something that they could lay out and say, this is what you do. Well, guess what? They haven't been in my classroom. I show you what I do. So I want to go through this. 3 actions. A third of common cancers can be prevented with 3 actions. And we're talking about like common cancers like prostate cancer, breast cancer, the basic ones. Reduce your body weight. A healthy body weight is very important. So we eat a protective diet, not just because we want to fit into these little clothes and look cute. We want to be healthy. We want to be fit. So a healthy weight management is important. So mindful eating, that's why we follow through with that practice, not just for vanity, but we want to get, if you're balancing out and you still have another 50 or 40 or 30 pounds to go for the gold and do that mindful eating challenge. If you've been practicing a protective diet for a while. So this is going to reduce your risk of cancer by getting that body fat down on your body. Eating a plant-based diet, obviously, we're doing that. We're in this classroom. If you're not on a protective diet 100%, and I'm not inspiring you tonight, I don't really know what would, because I want you to get this down pat before you're at a crossroads of either heart disease or cancer. Eating a plant-based diet, staying active daily. This is another thing that's suggested throughout everything that I've ever read about being diagnosed with cancer and throughout regression, stories of cancer regression where the cancer just went away. And that's one thing that I'm disappointed about all these symptoms that I'm having, that I can't hold it out and wait it out and see if my cancer will just fully regress, but because my...
But then what if it is, and we just don't realize it, and your symptoms are your brain figuring out what to do with this
extra
vanishing tumor?
Yeah, it could be, but anyway. So staying active. So those are the 3 things. And then I added a few. I was already doing these things, but I added eliminating alcohol completely out of my diet, because many studies show that that increases your risk of cancer cell growth. And go ahead.
Suzanne, Marcy was talking about how you looked stunning and you were teaching the nurses all about improving their health through diet. And then Suzanne wrote in saying, Julie, don't do any squat demos after you've had your brain cut on.
The last time I had the biopsy, Suzanne's like, how do you do those squats? And I was doing squats. I had all these stitches in my brain. It was kind of crazy. I think that happened because of painkillers too, and encouragement from Suzanne. But anyway, so plants can help to prevent blood supply to a tumor. I want to talk about angiogenesis a little bit more and what we can eat to promote this. To promote anti-angiogenesis. We don't want angiogenesis to a tumor. We don't want the blood flow going to it. A tumor the size, and all this information I am sharing with you came from nutritionfacts.org. Dr. Greger, he's reviewed the studies, same studies that I'm looking at about cancer. So in order for a tumor to have any growth, it's critical that it has blood flow. We all have cancer in our bodies. This is being discovered, and what Dr. Greger calls cancer without disease. It's when we have it, but it hasn't caused disease. It hasn't caused this pounding headache and pressure and vertigo driving me to the emergency room to say, I don't know, it feels like I have a tumor in my head or something's going on. These are little cancers. They may be in the breast, they may be in the prostate, they may be just in the thyroid, undetected. The studies show that by the age of 70, we all have cancers of the thyroid that are so small that they won't turn into something to kill us, but they're there. So, if they don't have the blood supply, they can't grow and develop into a cancer that could kill us or be disruptive to our life, like my brain cancer is at this moment. But we can stop this growth with veggies, tea, fruit, beans. We can stop it from sprouting new vessels. So 2 ways is to the first way is to reduce and take away. And that would be to reduce your IGF-1. It's a growth hormone that is Insulin Growth Factor 1 is what it's called. This hormone should be high when you're a child, and then it should reduce as an adult, but it's staying high in adults, and it's high in adults that have cancer because they're eating high rates of animal products. That's where that's coming from. So this IGF-1 helps to transform cells into cancer cells. Then it helps those cells divide, proliferate. It assists the angiogenesis, hooking up tumors to blood supply. So we don't want animal products in our diet. There was an article that was published about chicken being more dangerous than cigarettes because of the animal protein content in the chicken, raising these human growth factor hormones, this IGF-1, causing cancer tumors to grow, divide, and connect to blood supply. So we can turn off IGF-1 with diet. Cancer promoting hormone is released by our liver when we eat animal protein. No meat, no egg whites, no dairy protein for just 11 days can reduce your risk of cancer. So just taking it out that short period of time. This explains why there's such low rates of cancer on a whole food plant-based diet that's practiced long term. So if we practice a long-term practice of a protective diet, I'm always trying to encourage you, this is not a diet to do a detox for 30 days to drop 10 pounds. This is a diet to do a detox for 30 days to reprogram your taste buds, to get you excited about whole, clean, plant-based foods, to get you detoxed and off all of those craving-inducing foods, so that you can do this long term, so that you develop your pantry and your cooking skills, so then you begin to enjoy eating this way, and then you have no worries about these things, and you're not going to be faced at a crossroads where you weren't prepared with a diagnosis of cancer or heart disease or sudden death from heart disease. Just a few days of walking and eating a protective diet will lower your IGF-1. So exercise is shown to help lower that as well, that hormone in the body. Years on a PD offers serious protection. So stick to it. Hang in there. Only full-time low-fat vegans can accomplish this lowering of the IGF-1. So it's got to be a low-fat, whole foods, plant-based diet. So a protective diet fits perfectly into this. This was one of the things when I came back from the hospital and I looked at my salad and I looked at the food we were eating the first day we were back, and I said, Jerry, thank God I don't have to change a thing. I'm already eating all of these protective foods. I've already eliminated all the foods that increase cancer cell growth. Why? And my question in my head, which was a huge waste of my time, was why is this appearing now? Well, maybe the regression was causing this inflammatory response. I know I've had this a long time from what they know about brain tumors and the type of tumor I have. It's been with me a very long time. And who knows if it was from drinking Diet Coke in my 20s or from smoking or the lifestyle that I lived before I found this one. But thankfully I found this one. Don't have regrets about what you experienced. And I don't want you having regrets hanging out with our community and not going for it full time and then having to play catch up later is what I'm trying to explain. So I have another thing that I want to encourage you to add to your diet that there's been some confusion about too. I want to clarify. This is to add an increase in the diet. So we're removing and we're reducing with the IGF-1 to stop the progression of the tumor growth. But this one I want you to add an increase. This is a protective phytochemical called a phytate. Phytates are found in beans, tofu, soy milk, grains, nuts and seeds. We don't need the nuts and seeds because those are going to cause our taste bud reprogramming a challenge because the fats that are in them, we're going to crave fattier foods. We're not going to get excited about our creamy ranch dressing when it's made with tofu when we just tasted it made out of hemp seeds or made with oils. So we cut those fats out, those nuts and those seeds, and we get our phytates from tofu, beans. Beans is a great one. Why tofu? Because tofu is made from soybeans. It's a bean. Soy milk, whole grains. There is anti-cancer activity found in phytates, quickly absorbed by your digestive tract. It's taken up by cancer cells throughout the body, shown to inhibit growth of cancer cells like...
The question is, do doctors test people for IGF-1?
You know what, that's a question that I need to ask, and I never asked my doctor about it because they gave me these ridiculous blood tests, and the last doctor I went to even said, wow, they like screened you for everything. It was like they were digging. And she said to me, I don't understand. I'm looking at your blood tests and they're beautiful. The inflammatory markers were under what was normal. She'd never seen blood tests like this before, and she's like, the only thing you've got going on is that thing. You got to get it out of your head, and then you're fine. But I didn't ask her about the IGF-1 if it was on there. This blood test was a packet this thick. I had never seen anything like it. Like before, I'd be like, did you test me for vitamin D? Which is kind of a joke because my vitamin D is right in the middle of where they suggested be, which is high, because that range is way out of whack anyway. We've learned from Dr. McDougall about that as well, and we talked about that in the sunscreen and vitamins class. But everything is perfect. I have no signs of having cancer, no signs of disease, but I'll ask about that and find out and get back to you. So it's shown to inhibit growth. The phytates is shown to inhibit growth in leukemia, colon cancer, estrogen positive and negative breast cancer cells, cervical cancers, prostate, pancreatic, melanoma, muscular cancer.
In the chat, Jessica, who either is or was a nurse, says there is a test for IGF-1.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
I bet I had it. I'll go look at my paperwork. I'll let you guys know. But I didn't have any inflammatory markers or any anything to signify cancer, which I would think that these doctors...
She's a nurse practitioner. Thank you for the clarification.
And
Jessica.
the test would be, does she know, would it be IGF-1 would be on the listing, or is it called something else that I should be looking for? Because that's going to take me probably... There's like 20, it's like a book. It's kind of crazy, but I'll look it up. I could probably Google it and find out what it's called on a blood test. Okay.
She says it is called IGF-1.
Okay. I'll check it out. So this phytates are a broad spectrum anti-tumor agent. It blocks new blood vessel formation and it cuts off existing blood vessels. So that could be why my tumor looks regressed or encapsulated, because this is what I eat. I'm like, when I was looking into this, and this is another wonderful why from that class that I was talking about, lesson 129, if I wasn't diagnosed with this cancer in my brain, would I be bringing this to your attention and making you feel empowered about eating a protective diet and eating your beans and your whole grains and your tofu? No, I would probably just be telling you that they're good for you and they're preventative. But now I'm like investigating this so deeply to bring you more information, which we don't really need to focus on these kind of details. But when you're diagnosed with cancer, you want every bit of detail you could possibly get so that you can feel assured that you're doing everything you possibly can. Not to mention every single person that cares for you sends you an email about every single possibility there is to treat your cancer, which can be totally overwhelming. So if you can focus on, I'm already eating a protective diet and I'm already eating these phytates on a daily basis, which are they're regressing any kind of blood vessel connection to the tumor. and protecting me from further spread. If I left this tumor in my head, would I be scared that it was going to spread throughout my body, throughout my brain, all over my brain where it would be inoperable? No, not today, not anymore. Not if you're looking at my MRI and learning and researching. I know that if I could live with the feeling of this, poor Jerry, live with the craziness of this, because the mood swings and the changes and the depression and the hangover and the rage and anger that comes out of nowhere and sadness, it's not something that I need to get this out of my head. But at the same time, I'm not so fearful of it anymore because I'm empowered with what I'm doing 3 times a day, sometimes more if I have a snack. So that's what I wanted to bring to you, because I want you guys all leaving my classroom on a regular basis feeling like I'm protected. This is a protective diet, feeling powerful, feeling like you are in control of doing everything that your body needs and you can heal your body. And if you're in a disease state and you are just getting started on a protective diet, know that what you're doing 3 times a day, this is healing. This is progressive. This is getting you out of a hole, making you feel better. It's strengthening your immune system. I get this question all the time. Is a protective diet good for this disease, or is it good for this disease? It's good for optimal human health. It's good for all animals and our planet. It's good for all these 3 things. So if you're eating a diet for optimal health, it's going to strengthen your body to be able to fight against any invaders, any viruses, any bacteria, anything you're exposed to, along with any issues that are already within the body that the body is fighting. It's built to defend itself. But if we're not giving it the proper fuel and nourishment that it needs to defend itself, to do these miraculous things with beans and whole grains and tofu, then our body's not going to be able to do it. It needs the tools it needs to do the job of staying well. So when you're eating your protective diet food, don't just scoop up the don't just eat the chips. I want you to scoop up the beans with the chips. So if you look at the recipes, you will see that they are designed to include all of these protective diet, or all these protective foods, all of these foods that are going to protect you from cancer regrowth, from cancer progression, from those tumors growing their blood vessels to connect and get what they need from the body to grow. So I want you to eat the pintos and cheese with your chips. I want you to eat the black bean and corn summer salad with your chips or alone. Cuban black bean soup, we've got the rice and the black beans in here. We have everything that we need in these recipes, and some of our favorite recipes, the ones that we look at and we go, oh, this is such junk food. It's not. Break it down. It includes these phytates, these ingredients that we need. The French onion dip. There's so much guilt associated around eating an entire batch of French onion dip. It might leave you a little gassy because that's a whole lot of beans in that dip. But that dip is good for you. It's loaded with phytochemicals. It's loaded with the phytates to fight any type of tumor growth or tumors that are connecting to vascularly to the body to grow and develop. So this is what I've been doing. And I've been doing this for a long time. And this is what Jerry's been doing. This is what our dog Lucky does. He eats these things. He eats the beans. He eats the lentils. He eats the rice. Do it. This is going to offer you the protection. And do it in a good way where you enjoy it. Use the recipes. And don't fear certain recipes like they're junk food just because they look like your old familiar favorites. I've worked hours in the test kitchen to make them seem like your familiar favorites because I want you to eat them. I don't want you to restrict them or stop yourself from eating them. We need to lose that diet mentality. Your body is going to go to its ideal body weight. You're going to be able to stop eating when you're full and satisfied. This is part of the practice. It's under the Guide to Optimal Health under the Services tab, and you can see where you can progress with your practice of a protective diet and get those last 15, 20 pounds off with the mindful eating. But you're going to get there. Don't get caught up in restriction, or if you were on Weight Watchers before with your points. This is a protective diet. We're volume eaters. We don't eat one blueberry muffin or one apple oat muffin or one cacao muffin. eat 3 or 4 of them. They're very low calories. So if you're just getting started, I'm mentioning this because I'm seeing those comments in Protective Diet Living where you had a couple muffins for breakfast and you were starving an hour later. Yeah, because you only ate probably about 70 calories. That's not going to get you very far. You probably had a latte with 300 in it before you started a protective diet, or a muffin with 500. So I want to talk about, I'm surprised this question didn't come through about phytates.
They asked about the pronunciation of phytates.
Yes.
But you had already said it.
Yeah.
So.
I'm pronouncing it right, I made sure. You know, the pronunciation. Phytic acid is what's in these food in these specific foods, phytates. So it's a whole grain phytonutrient is what a phytate is. And sometimes you're going to find, if you Google it and you look it up, you're going to find all these articles. And I've heard this before, like on Facebook when I was in other groups before I had my own group, people challenging me saying, oh, I can't eat phytate rich foods. It's bad for me. It will inhibit nutrient absorption. And I was like, what are they talking about? These are beans. These are whole grains. They're loaded with nutrients. Why would that affect my absorption of nutrients? There's always going to be something, right? Well, there is some truth in that, but we don't need to worry about this on a protective diet. Phytates partially inhibit mineral absorption like iron and zinc, but when we're eating them, we're eating foods that actually improve their bioavailability. So the allium family, onions and garlic. I mean, when do you eat beans on a protective diet? There's not onions or garlic with it. One of them's in it. How many tablespoons of chopped dried onion did you use this last week? I mean, that's in those recipes for flavor, but most of the ingredients in the recipes are in there for protection as well. It's dual performance. We love the flavor, but our body loves the protection. So the bioavailability of iron and zinc is improved when we include onions, garlic, or leeks. The leeks, I buy them when they look fresh in the grocery store. They're kind of a pain to work with. If you haven't worked with them before, maybe I should do a little class about leeks. You cut them up almost like a diced onion, slice them, and then wash them really well because they're grown in sand. You can start any soup with a leek the same way you'd brown an onion. You'd brown the leek using the dry browning technique, which is, there's a video for it at the bottom of every single website page on protectivediet.com. If you haven't watched that video yet, get that technique down pat. That's going to add a lot of flavor to all of your recipes to start them off. No more water sauteing. It's a flavorless boiled onion. It's not going to add anything exciting to the dish. So we're browning them. We want them to burn to the bottom of our stainless steel pan. Not burn black, but burn a nice golden brown. And then we deglaze the pan in that video I show you. I always get so excited about that technique because it adds so much flavor to all the recipes. But so phytates range of health promoting properties such as anti-cancer activity. Eating phytate-containing foods with mineral absorption enhancers such as onions or garlic, we can improve bioavailability of our iron and our zinc. So that's not an issue. So I just wanted to talk about that really quick. I thought for sure someone would ask that question tonight in class, but they didn't.
No.
Very surprising.
Jess loves beans the same that she loves beans.
That's great.
That's the kind of thing.
Because that's what we need to be doing.
Sally, so do I.
Sally, black bean and corn summer salad. You make the best version I've ever had. It's one of her favorites.
Yeah, it is.
She brings it to the potlucks. That's one that I make and I keep in the refrigerator, and I just add to my salads, or I scoop it up with a few chips, as a little side dish with whatever I'm having. I make tacos out of it. It's a really easy recipe. It's one of my oldest recipes on the website, one of my first recipes, but There are so many recipes using beans, and we don't have to just focus on beans. If you're just getting started and you're like, oh, I'm feeling bloated, I don't feel so good, this high fiber diet, I'm not used to it, I was eating a standard diet before, or a vegan diet that didn't have so many vegetables, just add the whole grains in. Start with more whole grain starches, rice, quinoa, potatoes, those kinds of things. You're going to get those protection. You're going to get the protection from those. They're plants. And this doesn't have to be a figure it out kind of thing per disease, is what I wanted to talk about with this class. So I'm focusing on cancer here because, well, it's kind of like an elephant in the room that you can't see. Like, no one knows I have
You
this.
just have cancer on the mind.
I just have cancer on the mind.
It's on your brain. Babe.
So I'm talking about this because a lot of times when we're faced with something, we want to know everything we can know about that one disease. But what I want you to know everything about is the ideal diet for human health. So if you're eating this way and you're following along and you're eating foods that protect your endothelium and you're removing foods that break down your endothelium, you're going to be protected.
Do lentils give you the same benefit?
Yes, lentils and beans. I'm sorry, I just said beans, legumes. Any of those are going to give you that benefit. Don't get totally obsessed where you have to have beans on every single plate. I want you to enjoy your food. I said to Jerry, oh man, we better start eating some more beans around here after I was doing the research on this. And then I was laughing. I'm like, what day haven't we had pintos and cheese this week?
Right.
Like, make that recipe. It's so good. Those beans are so creamy and they refrigerate well, and reheating them, you can, add a little water to them if they thicken out too much. They're just fantastic. I don't know if there is a single bean recipe on the website that I don't like, but I do get beans in.
You don't
every
like
day.
edamame that much.
I do. I just forget about them in the freezer.
Oh.
Jerry really likes the edamame, the little soybean pods, and we just put them in the pressure cooker for a minute with a little water, and he likes those, but I forget to make him snacks because I mindfully eat. Like my hunger signals me to eat, and if you're just getting started, that might not be where you're at just yet, but it will come, I promise, because a lot of you have known me a long time, and I'm an eater, and I've got it really managed where I look forward to sitting down to my meals really hungry. I don't snack in between anymore, and it's a good thing. But so if there's not any more questions coming through, I think that I've covered pretty much everything, and I'm going to be here next week, and the week after we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting that I will be back to it.
Yeah.
Jerry said worst case scenario, he might have to be on camera for that
Oh,
1
I
week.
can't wait. Oh, yes. I haven't taught class in a long
if
time.
I'm still in the hospital, I think I know I have Wi-Fi there. I have to say, I'll be at...
Teaching class from your hospital room.
Well, I don't know. At least I could be in the chat. I might
Hi,
miss
everybody.
1 week,
This is
but
my
I don't
IV, and we're
expect
going to teach class together.
Yeah. No, I'll be at Sharp Memorial in that hospital. I'm to be honest with you, I feel really comfortable about going back there, and everything that has lined up through this entire experience has led me back to feeling really comfortable going back there. My experience with the biopsy there, from the nurses to what they call the Sharp experience, was fantastic. I had the best brown rice and broccoli I ever had, and that was because it was made for me, and I hadn't had anyone cook for me in a long time.
You wouldn't let anyone cook for you.
I
for a
know, I
long
love to
time.
cook, so it was a nice little few days off, but I think it's going to be fine. I'm looking forward to my little weekend getaway at Sharp Memorial.
Oh, and yeah, they do have, I wanted to say this on camera, they do have a thing where you can send in on the website, you can send in little notes, and we had a flood of them last
Oh
time.
yeah, send me the little email notes.
Yes.
It was awesome. They have you can send people that are staying at the hospital email e-cards, and then they print them out for me and they bring them to my room, and the nurses were so excited to deliver them. I think it made them more excited than, no, it made me pretty excited. But anyway, yeah, if you want to send me a message, I'll be over there on the 16th of December. How will we know the room? You probably just call Sharp Memorial and say Julie Christensen.
Yeah.
Or Julie Marie Christensen. They'll find me. Sharp Memorial.
Everyone
Someone's
will
asking
know
what
who she
hospital.
is
You
by
guys
that
are so
time.
cute. I feel so supported in this community, and I hope so much that if you're a silent member of this community, that you start engaging either in the classroom, because it's a really private setting here. There's the same group of people here every week, or you start engaging in PBL. Let me get to know you. Let our community get to know you, because if you ever are faced with a situation like this, you have our support, but we need to know who you are. We need to get to know you. So share some pictures with us, or share your goals with us in the pre-class chats, the Saturday morning live coaching hour, or in Protective Diet Living, our official support group on Facebook. If you haven't joined that, join us there. Introduce yourself. We're all waiting to get to know you. The people just getting started, it's very exciting for people that have been around a long time, because then we remember how we felt when we started and how exciting it was to watch it all unfold. And next week, I want to talk about our calendars of achievements. So we're approaching a new year coming up, and I want everyone to really get into using their calendar of achievements. And I want to review what that is. And if you're just getting started, document where your starting weight is. Take a before picture, because results happen fast. And if you're 6 months into it and you're feeling a little discouraged, like, oh, this isn't happening fast enough. My body's looking worse than it did 6 months ago because I've lost 60 pounds and now everything's just kind of not filled in. I want you to know that you're on your way, and your body will keep changing and keep changing. My body's changed in the last 5 months. I've noticed changes in my body, and this has been happening throughout my whole experience on a protective diet. I never really had this stagnant place where my body didn't change. So don't get down on yourself. And if you're keeping a calendar of achievements at that 6 month mark, you can reflect back on all of the wonderful things that have happened, and stop focusing on being very hypercritical of your body when 6 months before that you didn't even look in a mirror. Now you're critiquing every little thing about yourself, and I want you to feel good about yourself. You're doing the greatest good you can do for your health future, for your family and all your friends around you. You're going to be a better person for them because you have energy and you feel good. It makes us better at anything we could do if we're feeling good. And you're doing this and you're impacting the animals and our environment. So cheers to you, and stop getting so hard on yourself, because your body's in a transitional period and you're going to get where you're going to get to, and it's not stopping there. So we'll talk more about that next week, and I'm excited about it. Thanks for supporting me this week and always, and I'm always here to support you, and looking forward to doing it all the way through this experience with my craniotomy. It sounds crazy, but it's happening. Take care, everyone. I love you guys. Best of health.
Bye, everyone. Thanks. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Can't wait.